For those with good taste.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? It's your boys from For Those With Good Taste. I'm Matt. He's Lenny.
Okay.
And we're back in Good Taste Studios in a world where it feels like everything's just coming at you fast when it comes to content. Huh, Len?
It's hitting you in the face, going 100, dude. We're living our lives a quarter mile at a time over here.
If I had a nickel for every time you quoted a Fast and Furious movie.
Or if I just say that line. I say that line like twice a week, 3 times a week.
I would really love to say, who's your favorite movie character, but I already know it's Dominic Toretto.
It's really probably more Brian O'Connor, but, you know, RIP to the GOAT.
Yeah, well, you got to respect the living and respect the dead.
Yep. But while everything's coming out as fast, I feel like I'm nice and relaxed. I'm in some lounge wear here for this week's episode, Matt.
Yeah, man.
Nice Undertaker shirt and some gym shorts.
Keeping it cash, man.
B-ball action.
No, I love that, man. I mean, The Undertaker is another living legend.
Like myself, yes.
See, I don't think you could put yourself in the same category as that, man.
No, like a tier right below, though.
I would say elite level status, mid tier, and then folly.
I don't know what folly means, dude. But
you fall under the folly.
If you're talking like Legends of the Folly,
no.
Dude, I'm up there.
No,
yeah.
I'm talking like bottom of the barrel.
I will agree to disagree with what you're saying, sir. But I wanted to start us off this week, Matt, with a weird little news tidbit. I think you might have heard about this. But I thought it'd be a fun one to talk about on here. Did you hear about the fisherman who got swallowed by the whale this week?
That was a thing?
Yeah. You didn't know this?
Well, I feel like whales are being a lot more aggressive lately. There's videos of people in kayaks and whales just swallowing them up. This time it was a fisherman?
So, story has it. I'll get into why I say story has it.
I forgot you're the headline master.
So, no, I've actually, this I'm a little bit more knowledgeable on because I've read an article. I've watched the guy do an interview, and then I read another article.
Wait, he lived?
I'm kidding.
Oh, my God.
So, story has it, Matt. This guy's about 40 feet under the water, 45 feet under the water. He's like a lobster fisherman. Okay. Just down there scubaing. He loves to scuba. I watched Along Came Polly this week.
Oh, love that movie.
Scuba.
Dude, you like the scuba?
Yeah. No, I don't like the scuba.
I don't like the scuba. Yeah, I mean, it never ends well when the scuba guy's banging your wife.
Exactly.
You know?
on your honeymoon.
That's a bad time.
So he's down there scubaing, picking up some lobsters. And he said all of a sudden, he just feels like a fucking rush come up behind him. He's in a school of like fish. He said like a school of fish was surrounding him. It feels a rush. And he's like, it felt like a car hit me.
Oh my goodness.
And he's like, everything goes dark. But he's like, I know it's not a shark because a shark, it would have just like
taken a bite out of him.
So a couple seconds goes by and it's really, really dark. He can't see anything. And he just feels like pressure. And he's like, I could feel like muscles and everything. He's like, all of a sudden he realizes, he's like, I think I'm in a fucking whale. And he said like 30 to 40 seconds goes by. He thinks about his wife, his kids, all this stuff. And he's like, the whale starts like shaking, like back and forth.
Oh, no, something's not right.
Yeah. And then just fucking spits him out at the top of the water. And like the people said that they saw him come out like leg first out of the water.
God. Dude, that is insane.
Yeah. So that happened. And like the guy did an interview with the news that night after going to the hospital. He's just like, I'm just like sore.
Wow, not many people are going to be able to live to tell that kind of story. We got a real life Pinocchio on our hands.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. We've all kind of assumed that could happen, but they make it seem like there's a little more room in there.
Well, I mean, depends on the whale, right? Like there's photographs of like a diver next to a whale, and it's like, oh, the fin is 10 times bigger than the human.
Whales are fucked up, dude.
They're
whales
huge.
Are aliens, right?
Well, they're definitely not human.
Oh shit.
No, I know they're mammals. But the thing is like, imagine how large those things have to be able to swim as fast as they do. And this guy didn't even see it.
So the reason I say story has it, Matt.
You think he's lying?
Not only would I be maybe a little suspect, I just think you might have a little bit more. Might be a little more. So this is where they poke some serious holes.
You need witnesses.
They poke some serious holes in it for this reason, Matt. They said if he was 40 to 45 feet under scubaing, just to get brought up to the sea level, like to the air that quickly would fuck you up. Like it would give you the bends or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So he showed no signs of like lung issues or anything
really
from getting brought up.
That's one of the dangers of like scuba diving is you have to be careful on how quickly you're coming back up.
People who actually like dive are just like, why would a whale like confuse a person within a school of fish?
You said that he was a lobster fisherman.
Yeah.
Do you know how deep you would have to swim to like fish for lobster
I didn't
in
know.
the ocean?
So this is where I was puzzled, Matt. And granted, I don't think either one of us know about the lobster business.
But I have watched a shitload of National Geographic.
Okay, I
Just
saw
saying.
The Perfect Storm, so we're
Same.
we're qualified to speak on the
I
topic.
think so.
I've never seen that they actually go under the water and scuba. I thought they just drop like traps down there and these stupid little shit eaters at the bottom of the ocean
For lobster,
crawl into
yeah.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
nobody's going scuba diving for lobster.
I mean, maybe you're looking.
Hit me in the comments if we're wrong. Like,
Dude,
maybe I'm completely missing it.
Imagine if we have a major fan base on like the
And
the
they just
shores of,
they just
of
start hitting us.
Gloucester.
Hey, first time calling in,
Well,
long time
yeah.
listener.
Yeah, they're calling us now. Yeah.
You guys don't know shit about lobster fishing. All right, I apologize.
Yeah, dude, I like to think we actually do have a really big following in Gloucester, as we are such notable experts in the field of scubaing.
Yeah.
Since we've seen
Because we've
Along
all
Came
seen
Polly,
Along Came Polly.
and also we watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall where they surfed.
And
that one time.
Deep Blue Sea.
Yes.
So I would say legend has it. We're
also,
definitely experts.
What was the other one that had like Michelle Rodriguez, where they were surfers? Blue something.
Into the Blue?
No, that's Paul Walker and Jessica Alba.
Shout out to Paul Walker again,
Yeah,
dude. We
RIP
just
to the
keep
goat,
doing it.
dude.
God damn it.
Fuck, what is that
Let's
movie?
not get stuck on it.
Blue Crush.
Oh yeah, no,
Blue Crush.
I'm not gonna.
Kate Bosworth.
I'm not gonna admit to actually watching that movie.
Yeah, that's good, dude.
Can't do
it's
it,
fine,
dude.
dude. What about that other one with the girl who got her arm bit
Her
off?
arm bitten off. That's a hero story. That's okay.
Yeah,
I'll
she's a
support
true
that.
American hero.
I mean, she got bit and decided to go back. I'll tell you what. If I get bit by a shark or swallowed by a whale, I'm not going back.
He was like, I can't wait to get back to work tomorrow.
But again,
fuck no, you don't.
Again, it just sounds to me like there's a lot of holes in this man's story. If it's possible to go fishing for lobster in a scuba suit or in scuba gear in a ocean that is large enough for a whale to eat you, I need to know.
Can I tell you the
about
other
it.
reason I was skeptical of this guy, Matt?
I could think of a million reasons.
He did the whole interview with a pack of American Spirit cigarettes in his hand.
Oh, so it was an advertisement.
No, I don't think that company advertises because you know
think it was sponsored?
we only gave them casinos. We don't give them time on the air. The problem with that is like we're already talking about his lungs. Like this guy was not in any kind of shape to be like. I saw this man and I was like, they let this guy scuba. They just let anybody scuba.
Also,
these
there's
days.
no way he felt muscles inside of a whale because I've watched Pinocchio. There's tons of space in there.
Well, that's what I said. Yeah,
Like there's no way.
But it is kind of fucked up, dude. Imagine how that feels. Like how gross that would feel. You feel it because you know the only way they can like sense anything is they're like massaging you around with their big old tongue in there.
The only thing I could imagine is the part that I would be scared about is okay, you're in the blue, right? You're in the ocean. It's dark enough. You get hit by something, you open your eyes, and it's just pitch black. Like to me, that just sounds awful.
Well, that's where he had me when he was like, dude, I felt like I got hit by a truck, and then all of a sudden I realized I was in pitch black. But at 1 second I was in the water, and now I'm inside this.
The only thing missing from the story was I looked to my right and I saw a bag of bones. Like I saw a skeleton.
What if he was like, there's only one way out of this situation? He just starts climbing out the other end.
Yeah, looking for the blowhole.
Army crawling, dude.
He'd have to figure out a way.
What's your plan? What do you do when you're in there? Are you just like, are you doing what you just kind of thinking and then all of a sudden you're going to get spit out?
Listen, man, I've always had the idea.
You're going to throw some punches?
I'm going to throw punches. They're not going to do they're not going to be very effective.
Yeah.
I'm going to start kicking and fluttering
I'm
my
going
feet
to let him
around.
know that I'm not the type of food to fuck
like,
with.
dude, either you're throwing me up or I'm ripping your butthole open.
He probably has a weapon on him too, right? Like, how do you catch
You
lobsters?
talking like a spear gat?
Yeah, like how do you catch lobsters?
Again, I don't think this guy was catching lobsters. We'd be lucky if he has a knife on him. I think this dude was molesting fish. He was doing something. And I'm gonna be honest with you.
He's in that big fish ring I heard about.
He needs witnesses because it sounds to me like this guy was into some mischief. And he's not the only one.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Wow, dude, that's the best one.
That's a clean one, right?
That was really good.
We're gonna move on from Mr. Whale Diver for just a second, and we're gonna move on to what I think is the hottest commodity that has come out this week outside of whale food, Loki.
Yeah, this is
dropped on Disney Plus.
Certainly the hottest commodity over the past week.
I would say
we are literally 6 days after the episode came out, and we're going to release this after. But it's still the hottest commodity.
But we are giving a disclaimer. It just doesn't fit in with our schedules to jump in here on a Thursday or Friday. And realistically, we know that you guys are still going to tune into this.
You know, here's an idea for the world out there creating content like movies and such. Everybody says like, oh, I had a case of the Mondays. You know what would really fix people's fucking Mondays? Start releasing some shit to us on Mondays.
Dude,
that would help me out a ton.
Are you trying to crack the code right now?
I think we've cracked it, and it would really help my situation and your situation.
Man, it would not only help my situation, it would probably make me feel a little bit better about waking up on Mondays.
What the fuck does anybody have to do on a Monday? We would all sit around and watch shit on a
Monday Night Raw.
And that's not good. It's awful.
It's awful?
It's
okay.
really bad.
Well, I'm glad you're the first one to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, CM Punk also saying that he thinks wrestling's fake. We'll talk about that.
He was like,
he admitted it?
He was like, most of my life, I would have gotten like pissed about like somebody saying that, but he's like, yeah, no, there's no way for me really.
Because he got his ass
defended
kicked in the
anymore.
UFC. But anyway, man, like, we're not going to hinder or stay on the fact that we're a week out from this, but I do think it gives us the opportunity to maybe dive a little bit deeper and share some spoilers if possible.
Well, we can definitely spare spoilers. Fuck.
We can spare or share spoilers.
Yeah.
Either way, dude.
We can definitely, most certainly do that. I don't know if we dive deep on anything. We're very surface level individuals.
You call me shallow, dude?
Yeah, we're very cosmetic. Well, I did tell you I think I'm shallow Hal like a week ago.
It's coming full circle, and we'll just call ourselves the Shallow Boys. Because when it comes to Loki, there's only 3 things that I want from you. I want to know your initial reaction, how you felt after the first episode, and what you think is coming.
Good, great, and greatest. I answered all
awesome,
3.
Man, I don't even think that's allowed.
Quick, efficient, put it in a box, send it off to seas.
Please elaborate, Mr. Barry Gordy.
Fair enough. I've watched it twice. Once the first day it came out, once today.
Okay.
Feeling
fresh?
I liked it a lot. I'm intrigued by where we're going. They've obviously done a good job in all of these series, these 3 series that we've gotten so far. I think of intertwining the humor that Marvel's had throughout its run with some good story build and action. This obviously didn't have a ton of action. Loki's a little bit more of a humorous character too.
Yeah, he's low key for the most part.
But there is a fair amount of like drama and self-reflection that I think you get too. I like where we picked up like we all kind of knew this was. I think we were wondering if this was going to be him getting chased through timelines potentially, or if it was going to be what we're getting, where it's going to be more of he's going to have to reestablish maybe the timeline he's chasing after.
Yeah, it almost felt after the initial trailer that we're going to have like a Catch Me If You Can Leo DiCaprio situation going on.
But we're also, I do like that within the 1 episode, they found a way to advance us through like 10 movies worth of storyline for Loki's character. Because we're all the way back at Avengers 1 with this character. Yeah. And we've got to get him all the way up to Endgame.
We got to get in quickly.
And they did it in an hour. So
that was pretty impressive to me. And the one thing that really stood out to me was Loki's always been a character that's always felt like he was misunderstood. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's always been Loki. Kind of, he's always been the person that we didn't really know his perspective or his point of view. We didn't know if he was good pretending to be bad or bad pretending to be good. There's a lot of different avenues, and he's always been the master of deception. It felt like in this episode, they were kind of able to unbox him as a character and help us just really understand him a little bit more.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think what it is that because they were able to do it so subtly through all of these movies, it's not like he's not a front player, he's not the Avengers. He is a little bit more of a background character, especially from Avengers 1 and going forward from there. But because of that, I think it's been so subtle in the background that you've grown to. I think for a long time, especially like Ragnarok era, you still were kind of questioning where his allegiances lies. But by the end of Endgame, I mean,
but it's so short.
Endgame,
it's so
Infinity War.
Infinity War, but it's so short lived.
Yeah,
right. Like
because it's the final like offering,
final hurrah.
It's his parting gift is like letting you know I am a good guy now, and like him living back through those moments. It's like you can understand why it would still land the same way because once he bought into the fact that they're showing me the real stuff, it's like Ebenezer Scrooge. Yeah. Right? Like that's kind of what it was.
Past, And it's in that moment, it's almost like he's vindicated someone. Like he knew that this, maybe he didn't understand it at the time, but he kind of felt like he knew he had it in himself.
Yeah.
Right. What did you think of the scene where he basically finds out that he's solely responsible for the death of his mother?
Yeah, I guess what for me with that, man, is and maybe I'm like everybody else. Like nobody really watched that movie, right? Yeah. Like Dark World.
I mean, I did. One of the few that
we've
watched
seen
it and didn't enjoy it, but I watched
We've
it.
seen everybody's seen it, but like I haven't seen it since it came out in like
Sure.
2010 or whatever year it was, or 12 maybe. But yeah, I didn't really remember it that well outside of getting the different perspective. That is loud. Huh? Outside of getting the other perspective in not Infinity War, Endgame in this instance,
Yeah.
right? Really quick, also, we're gonna have to at some point do a rant about motorcycles in the summer
Oh, yeah.
because.
I'm pretty sure South Park already has a full episode based on that.
Fuck off, right? And you know, like, fuck off even more too, Matt. The guys who ride around with their fucking radios on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the old white dudes who
Yeah.
are like bumping like Bob Seger as
And
they
they finally discovered Bluetooth speakers.
Yeah.
And they're like blowing it up back
yeah,
there.
and you're like, dude, I live at a fucking intersection, so it's like I have to hear half of your song, you old fuck. And there's not just one of them; like they have to play it loud enough for their boys that are in the back to
And
hear
if he's
it.
making a round trip, you're hearing him with the same song on repeat.
Also, like, not to segue this even further, because I will get back to Loki and Thor here, but also fuck off to the dude the other night who it was 2 a.m. and he decided to just do a donut in my intersection.
You have a big intersection.
Dude, I
Granted.
watched him because my window, like, it was hot. It was one of the days during the heat wave, right? And I opened my blinds so I had a straight shot to just see into the intersection.
Yeah.
And I'm playing like MLB. And I just looked to my right. I hear somebody screeching on their tires. And I look to my right, and this guy's just posted in the intersection,
Doing
just
full
spinning them up. Smoke's going everywhere.
What are we doing, sir?
I'm like, dude, like, who are you showing off for? You pulled up to an intersection and we're like, yeah, no, I'm gonna hit it here, dude. I'm hitting this.
Do you think
thing.
he's been driving for so long and finally found the intersection that was like, this is the one.
This is right.
This is the only chance
right.
I'm going to get to do this.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy.
No,
Fuck off.
fuck that
Fuck
guy. Don't
off.
shout out him.
Fuck off. all the way out.
So back to Loki, the Dark World 2. Yeah, it was an emotional scene. And again, I think one of the best parts of this episode was just the self-reflection of the character back in Avengers that we know turns out to be good. And we know the other part is having the perspective that we have where we know that he's a good character.
Yeah.
That in him was a good person and he just had to kind of find it. And having him, what was the question that Owen Wilson kept asking him? Why do you hurt people?
No, it's do you enjoy hurting people?
Yeah. I really liked that. It was just 'cause
it was really great character play by Owen Wilson.
Oh, you mean he's just being like charming Owen Wilson?
Well, he's being charming Owen Wilson, but it's they seem to have a chemistry.
Dude,
and in
no,
that interview,
him, even when he walks up to the judge and he's just like, I feel like I'm always looking up to you. I'm like, that's such an Owen Wilson line. I was like, nobody wrote that for him. Like that was
said in the moment.
Yeah, that's just Owen. They were like, all right, let's just spitball a couple takes. And he was just like, yeah.
And that's what it felt like.
That's that charm that he has,
okay.
like Wedding Crashers charm. Like that's
so
who he is.
It is no doubt bled into this show. And I'm certainly happy. It seems like we've got a real redemption story kind of brewing. What do you think is coming next?
Obviously really hard to tell right now. Did you see, I mean, since we can just talk about spoilers on here.
Nobody gets free advertising, dude.
Yeah, you just been letting it out there, letting her fly.
Yeah.
You know what, we said we were going to talk about spoilers. I don't know if you had seen this little Easter egg. And I didn't catch it either time watching it. And I tried looking out for it this time when I watched it today. But the possibility that Agent Carter was in the background.
I didn't catch that, no.
Yeah, maybe I still have it open on my phone.
When? Is that something that like the Reddit army has tried to figure out?
So this is the picture.
Oh, no shit.
So they said that like normally they would be in passing, but they're like, the thing about it is they set that shot up so that the door opens at the end of the hallway and you
just see them open it. Yeah.
You're meant to look at the character who's going in. And they were like, here's the thing. If Steve went back and did something with the time, brought back stones and stuff, and he went and saw her, could that have altered the timeline for her?
Son of a bitch.
And led to her having
an interaction with Loki?
Well, just ending up in this fucking
whatever
the TMA, I think is what it's called.
The TVA?
TVA, you're right.
Yeah.
TVA.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of different ways that they can go.
The picture looks kind of like the character.
I might be bought into the conspiracy theory.
And it does make some sense because I was wondering, that's one of the things I was wondering about. Like, there was a couple things I was wondering. Okay, so that's interesting how it impacts that. Also, you know the scene, I'm getting all choked up over here.
I know, dude, it was a great episode.
You know the scene where they open the drawer and it's all the Infinity Stones? Yeah, I want to
Yeah, I got that.
Close that up. We'll get a fan after our break here.
We're good.
We were trying to run it normal this time. But you know
the scene where they
drawer?
find the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My thought was this. And I guess maybe they're not supposed to interfere, but couldn't they have just gone and like said, like, we'll keep the Infinity Stones?
Well, so I thought you were kind of going down this trail here. It is a very large possibility that in Captain America going back and changing things up or meddling with the timeline, maybe the Avengers going back in time was expected, Cap going back wasn't, and maybe that's a story that we get. Maybe he went back to return the Infinity Stones, and they were just like, no, man, we'll take it from here.
Yeah.
Right? And then they kind of fixed whatever they could. But up until now, they've kind of made it seem like they set off this bomb, and it will destroy whatever is happening in that timeline. Did you catch on to that?
Yeah, at the end.
At the end, yeah. So whoever our unknown villain, our faceless villain is.
That little kid calls him the devil.
Calls him the devil. I'd be interested to see exactly where we're going to go after this. Who is that guy, and how damaging is it to ruin a timeline?
Well, so I got kind of confused because the first time I watched it, the figure at the end, because when they're telling Owen Wilson's telling Loki, what's his real name? What's his name in the show? So I don't think you call him Owen Wilson.
I will remember this, but I'm just going to look it up.
Good old OW, he is he's talking to Loki, and he's like, we're basically sending you to find yourself, right? Like we're sending him after his own variant.
Agent Mobius.
Okay,
that's why I wasn't going to remember.
We're not going to remember that. Mobius M. Mobius.
He's Owen Wilson to me.
But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
At the end, he says that. So I thought the first time watching it, I don't know if I had missed something, but I was like, that's just Loki, the other Loki they're talking about, right?
Yeah, it almost seemed like it was too obvious, though.
Yeah, but most people have told me that's most likely not the case, so I'm leaning towards everybody else. And this time, I definitely, the little red thing that they dropped on the ground and he picked up, right?
Yeah, there's I've heard some names floating around, and there's a very good chance that it could be Mephisto.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were thinking that Mephisto was going to be the villain in WandaVision.
Yes.
Never actually came to fruition. There were some signs, but this could be an interesting way to maybe tie them all together.
There was that interesting line also about a multiverse war.
Right.
And that seemed like it was some foreshadowing, right?
God damn it.
To kind of what we're going to get going forward. And like this whole phase 4 has pretty much sounded like it's set up for a multiverse. It's set up
Seems like there's going to be some big
Spider-Verse and Doctor Strange are going to address it. And if you're now talking about in this show, you're intentionally bringing up another multiverse war. You're like, okay, so the only way to top what we did with Endgame, right, is to go outside of our galaxy, go outside of our timeline, outside of our world. We've also established that the stones aren't really going to be in play because if we're going to all these other dimensions,
they're not a major factor.
Yeah, they don't necessarily affect any of that stuff. So now we've found a way to up stuff without having I'm like, we always go back to like shit like Yu-Gi-Oh on this, but it's like when they had like the Blue Eyes White Dragon, but they were like, okay, we can't have that be the ultimate big bad. So then we come up with like the 3-headed one, and then
they come up with the legendary god cards.
Yeah,
there's always levels.
You have to keep finding ways to reinvent it.
Yeah,
I'm sure for a show, you know what I try, dude. We go all over the place. I go all over the place. I'm just a fucking
this is our
scatterbrain.
Fucking show, dude.
So you know what I watched an episode of, Matt, this week? You're gonna be fucking shocked. You take 3 guesses because you won't get
it. Why would we do that? Just tell me.
Just do it.
The Boys.
No.
The Invincible.
No.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Probably the closest you've gotten.
Okay.
I watched an episode of Dragon Ball.
Get the hell out of here! Why?
Like one of I watched the first episode.
Are
you
doing it to piss me off?
I don't know why. I was just like I kind of want to find something to watch that's long.
Bro, every now and again you do this thing, and you did it with Game of Thrones, where you watch something that I genuinely enjoy only to shit on it. And if you're gonna do that with Dragon Ball, you better sit your bitch ass down.
All right, well,
dude.
Good news. It was basically the Bad Batch. I watched like 15 minutes of it, and then I lost interest. But I say that to bring up I'm sure that show's a lot like it because it's been going on since like 2002, 2003.
Yeah, but we had a large gap in between.
Okay, but either way, it's like you could only go Super Saiyan for so long, then you had to find like Super Saiyan.
Yeah, and then they went Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan God, all that stuff. Yeah, now we have Ultra Instinct and all that stuff.
You just have to keep finding ways,
but
right?
They do a great job of trying to level out the playing field and letting you know that there's other more powerful beings out there. Mm-hmm. And it seems like that's exactly what they're doing now. They're letting us know that there's a possibility that some darker shit is on the horizon.
Like them even saying, well, like, I'm a god. I don't even know who you are. And it's like, but that's because we don't want like you only know who we are when you've done something
that
we have to make.
You've lived the life that we wanted you to live so far, and he took such offense to that.
Yeah,
he was like, "No, I do my own bidding." He's like, "Yeah, I'm sure you do."
Mm-hmm.
That's the moment where I'm like, "Fucking Owen Wilson, dude."
I liked also the ticket part because the second he like sees the dude get taken out, he's like, "Fuck!" He's like, "Oh god,
I found it."
Because it's funny because he finds a way while being a god to. He has a very like you feel his need for self-preservation so much,
and we've seen that on a multitude of times because it almost feels like he has to tell himself that he's a god, he's indestructible. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the most legendary scene out there is the Hulk slamming the hell out of him and calling him a puny god and just walking away. And it's like, yeah, bro, you just got handled, okay? Mm-hmm. But there is that sense of needing to kind of preserve his way of life or preserve his own life, and really kind of stabbing anybody in the back to do that. It was an interesting end. I think that second episode, which is going to be coming on tomorrow our time, but once our listeners kind of get in, it may have already happened.
Oh, it's definitely going to
happen. Okay. Well, let us know what you think in the comments. Are we swinging for the fences on this? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? And who do you think's the guy under the hood?
Who is the guy under the hood?
Could it be the Arrow?
Oh, the hood. Yeah.
You said we're changing multiverses.
That'd be fucking sick, huh?
No, I don't want to see
that. It doesn't really make sense.
Nope. Cut it out.
It ain't working. All right. So next up on the agenda, Matt, is something that's a little more close to home for you than to me, but I will be more than happy to contribute where I see fit.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's in your orbit at this point.
With potentially a bad batch of takes.
Okay, I like what you did with that.
Yeah, dude, I was just trying to live up to your...
Yeah, that was a really good transition. Yeah. I actually had a decent one for this one. I was going to be like, Loki, story of redemption. And then the Bad Batch totally redeemed themselves on some stupid like Jim Carrey stuff. But
glad we didn't do that one, huh?
No, yeah. Totally glad I wasted this time just explaining it. Yeah, man, the Bad Batch. I came out of last week's episode feeling optimistic, but still kind of teetering on the idea that, you know, this show still has a lot more to offer. And just when I thought that they couldn't...
You almost quit, dude.
Yeah, I just when I thought that they couldn't bring me back... Inhibitor chips, Len. What do you know about them?
I think I have one of my dogs, so if she gets lost...
Okay, same concept. The inhibitor chips were the main reason that the clones killed the Jedi in Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. They also were a huge play in the Clone Wars animated series.
Wait, okay. So, I've seen that movie.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Do you remember Order 66?
So, we've talked about this recently on here.
So, when Anakin basically saves Senator Palpatine or Chancellor Palpatine, and we find out that Palpatine's the Sith Lord, they execute Order 66, which makes all of the clones who were actually supporting the Jedi flip on them, wipe them out completely. And unfortunately, one of the few... they just start blasting them. And it's one of the most epic scenes in the Clone Wars because we actually get to see what happens from the clones' perspective. Mm-hmm. With the Bad Batch, because they're a deviant bunch, their code is not affected by the inhibitor chip. And then we finally got a sign that they couldn't be completely immune to it when Crosshairs completely turns his back on the Bad Bunch. We thought that maybe... the Bad Batch, sorry, I keep doing that. We end up thinking that he's the only one who's susceptible to it. Wrecker knocked his head, as I mentioned last week.
Bop.
He's going through some headaches this week, and we find out that...
He was concussed?
He was not only concussed, man, he was like...
They still let him go on missions?
Dude, they were letting him go on missions. They were letting him still, play the D, if I could say that.
They're bad friends.
And we open this episode up with an awesome scene between Omega, who's the little girl clone.
Kenny.
And... Don't do that. No WWE shtick in here. Okay, I'm talking the Bad Batch. And they have a cool scene with her and Wrecker kind of hanging out and enjoying some time. And we're reintroduced to Captain Rex, who was a huge character in the Clone Wars. He's like one of the first generation clones. He was not affected by Order 66 because he had his chip taken out. Long story short, Len, some shit goes down. Wrecker is affected by the inhibitor chip, and they're in a race against time to get that chip out of him.
Okay. So it's one of those situations.
So it took a turn where...
Was there a timer on the screen throughout the whole thing?
No, it wasn't like a 24 situation.
Do you feel like that's kind of a missed opportunity?
No, because while we knew that it was time sensitive, we're all kind of under the impression that these characters in the Bad Batch are kind of just ticking time bombs at this point. So we knew that the time was coming. We just didn't know it was going to be this soon, and it was going to be the character that we all tend to love a little bit more.
So, do we not do spoilers for the Bad Batch?
I was under the impression that we don't.
Okay, so we won't.
So
Okay.
I won't.
That's fine.
But what I will say is that it has certainly taken an interesting turn with the reintroduction of Captain Rex. You get to see his relationship with the Bad Batch crew.
I think you can just say the Batch.
Nah, I like calling him the Bad Batch. But still no crosshairs. We don't know where Crosshair is.
Are we anticipating him to like just show up when they need him the most?
I think he's going to show up when they don't want him to show up the most, and it's going to be a bad time for the Bad Batch.
You think he's full on Rogue?
Well,
he's full Rogue
he's already
Squadron.
been shown full Rogue. He's got his own Renegade squad, and at this point, he's hunting his former comrades.
Holy shit!
It only gets more interesting from here.
Hey, Star Wars question.
Sure.
Just because I like to take us in other directions. Did you play that game?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
The most recent one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
It was enjoyable to a point. I always enjoyed the Star Wars games for just being able to try out the gameplay, the front flips, the back flips, using the Force, lightsaber moves. That kind of wears off after a while.
It's a little Uncharted-y.
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
would say that, definitely.
Yeah. I played the first level. I owned the game. I just didn't really play it.
I got pretty far, and I think for me it kind of ends with collecting all of the colors of the lightsabers and being able to choose which one you want. At the end of that, I'm like, I think I'm good. I've seen everything I need to see.
Have you looked into the X-Wing fighter game that they have?
I've heard about
Squadrons, I think it's just called.
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it, but my concern with Star Wars games is that like Battlefront is their like big game that everybody talks about, and to me, it's just a huge EA ripoff.
Yeah.
So I'm always kind of hesitant when it comes to any new Star Wars games.
Yeah, I mean that one's it's like $30, and I heard the only real downside is it's kind of limited in terms of like gameplay options. Yeah. It's really just dogfights.
Yeah, so that's
which is kind of cool. Like we were talking about, and we're gonna get into in a few here, like Flight Simulator, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that's kind of cool. There's not enough games that I think have been able to execute that stuff. Like nobody's buying Ace Combat.
No, and nobody's. I mean, you got to remember too. Like it's with those type of games, they're very graphics heavy. Like it's got to look good for you to really want to play it or enjoy it. With a game like where you're playing dogfights, like it almost feels like multiplayer for Call of Duty. It's just like the gameplay is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right. Battlefront was very similar in that sense, where you're playing multiplayer pretty much the entire time. There's not really a story mode that you're jumping into. Yeah. So it's one of those games where I'm not as optimistic. Maybe if it comes out for free on PlayStation, I'll try it out.
So wrapping things up, we were really happy about this episode. They left us with some stuff going forward. We think the backstabbing son of a bitch is going to come back and stab more backs.
Yeah, we're the same way I said. We're kind of just waiting for the time to tick out. We do kind of have a timer going on when these two groups are going to come up against each other again.
And we still have like 9 episodes.
Yeah, we still got a while to go. So hopefully this, at least for me, was a step in the right direction, and certainly has me optimistic for the next episode.
Cool. So as we said, we have some game trailers to potentially get into here. Just video games in general. It's been a while since we've really done a lot of like video game talk on here. But we had E3 this past week.
Yep.
Or this past weekend at least. It may even still be going on. I don't know.
It's like a 6-day event, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I used to pay more attention to it, but with the fact that they're not it's not a convention this year. It's just kind of
everything's virtual.
Yeah, I saw some of it on Twitch, but I just haven't gotten to pay too much attention to it. But I caught some trailers. I heard some stuff about some games. You watched some today to kind of catch up on it. What game do you think we should start with, buddy?
Can we start off with Halo?
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think, being someone that's never been, and I never want to use the term, I've never been a fan of Halo because I feel like people would take that as disrespect. I've just never owned an Xbox. I've never been exposed to the world of Halo.
Dude, if you want to stand on the ledge, I'll stand on the ledge with you. I was never a big Halo fan.
Thanks for not leaving me out there by myself, buddy.
Dude, it's like, I it wasn't a thing for me. I had an Xbox too. I think I said this to you off air. It's probably just selfishly I wasn't as good at it as I was at Call of Duty. And it's weird. It's a game that plays fast, but at the same time, I felt like your characters were kind of slow.
Clunky.
Yeah, it was a lot of like, the jumping was so important. Whereas in Call of Duty, it was like a lot of just sprint fire, stuff like that. That game, I remember, I feel like it didn't have a tactical sprint. And it was really coming down to, could you jump and shoot at the same time? The only one I was kind of decent at, I think, was Halo 3. The coolest thing I remember about all those games, though, and I don't know, you didn't play them a ton, you just played them with friends,
Yeah, I
right?
played them with friends. Anybody who had an Xbox and I was there, we would always get into it.
I loved the scale of the maps.
Yes.
Was always the thing that stood out to me the biggest, and some of the unique gameplay. We watched some Capture the Flag earlier. Like
Yep.
that version of Capture the Flag is way cooler. Actually
Certainly a
going and-
standout feature.
yeah, being in a team and going and getting a flag and having to bring it back, like that's a cooler objective to me than collecting point A, point B,
Yep.
and point C in like domination. You know?
Yeah, I've always felt like that's a huge miss when it comes to like the Call of Duty games. Like they do have some really fun game modes, but
that seems like a really cool competitive like 2v2, 4v4.
yeah,
type
like
game
small
mode,
scale
right?
teams
Yeah.
and having to defend what you capture rather than it being a place where you can kind of strategically set up in one area and kind of watch all sides. Like having to go on the run and actually defend yourself on the
Well,
go.
it'd be the team on attack and be the team on defend or
Yeah,
something like that.
it really
It could
seems
be
like
cool.
the hunted aspect of it could really just kind of increase the fun of the gameplay. But the reason why I wanted to start off with Halo was I think you and I watched this trailer and we could both appreciate the gameplay, right?
Mhm.
Like it looks good.
There was some really unique, like cool ideas in there. There was when he uses like a grappling gun to pick up a rock and like throw it at something.
And it was
to
almost
blow up.
simultaneous to like him shooting
Mhm.
and then just being able to do that little whip very quickly. The guns look incredible. I liked just about every gun that I saw there.
Mhm.
What was something that actually, better question. Do you think that this is something that would get you excited to play Halo for anybody who hasn't tried it? Or do you think it's more similar to what they've currently put
I
out?
would say for any of the stuff that we're going to talk about here, it's primarily because I'm at least going to give it a shot.
Okay.
I think that I'm at the age now where it's a little different than it was 10 years ago when Halo was more relevant.
Sure.
Because kind of what we were talking about earlier, when Halo was relevant, it was when I was like 17, 18 years old, even younger than that for some of the early ones, right?
And they had built up quite a fandom.
And it was more reliant on somebody else buying me something, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the money at the time to really go and buy a console for myself. Like I did at some point, but Halo 1, Halo 2, it was like I was either getting a PlayStation or I was getting an Xbox.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't that I was going to have both of them and have a million options on what I could play every day.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit more brand loyalty, and I think that's why we didn't play it. Nowadays, obviously, we're just in a different point in our lives where, like, honestly, if any of this stuff, if I'm interested in it, I'm gonna be able to find I'm gonna be able to find a way to try it. And one of the best things with all of these announcements through E3 is because of Xbox Game Pass, a lot of this stuff is just going to be available for me, included with what I'm buying. You know?
Sorry, I'm panting because that sounds like a crazy deal.
Yeah. It's like
salivating at the idea.
Because I pay $15. I think it's $15 a month, and you get your online access for gameplay, but you also get access to Game Pass both on your Xbox and on your PC.
Yeah, I'm name dropping, but Tommy Outlaw has always told me that that's a good option for like the sports games because you get access to like FIFA, MLB, Madden, things like that. Seems like a good deal.
I always had EA Origin before for that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've done a really good job. Like this year, I've talked about a couple times on here. Like I've been playing MLB The Show. That's just included in the fact that, you know, a lot of people are asking how is Xbox going to make money off of this? Because when you have titles like a Halo going directly to that platform, it's going to be tough. But realistically, I just look at it like how Amazon Prime is doing it, how Netflix is going to do it. You know, we were talking about before we got on air, even as far as like Netflix is branching out even further into like making merchandise and shit. Like these companies are always going to find ways to evolve and make money. And in this instance, it's like, if we can guarantee your business for a year round of paying $10 a month to us, and we can do that across 10 million people, that's more stable income and more predictable for us in a more sustainable way to keep our console relevant.
Yeah.
Rather than
and you're dropping a product that a lot of people people are going to want it.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Like, and I think it's when you look, they one of the biggest things they lost on the Xbox One versus PS4 war that they had there, right? One of the biggest things they lost is that PlayStation went out and paid and got a lot of exclusive deals. Like they were getting Call of Duty content before Xbox was. They had games that were exclusive to them. A lot of the best exclusives were on their console. So the way you have to combat that now is by, I think you have to go to those gaming companies and be like, look, like we're going to pay you a flat fee to have your game, and we're going to put it on our platform. Your game's now going to get seen by X amount of people guaranteed that have no, like, no downside to not downloading your game.
Yeah.
So now if you want to sell pay-to-play stuff through it or anything like that, you can now still make the money from us on your AAA title that we're going to put up here, but then you still have maybe access to some of this other stuff.
You got the
right?
option to be able to expand more.
Yeah, so I think it just makes sense that everything is subscription-based now because every company wants sustainability and predictable profits. I think stockholders probably want that.
But even from a consumer standpoint, man, like I can remember going as far back as watching like cable commercials, and they were like, hey, do you want to pay for the package that you want? And you'd pay for maybe 5 of those networks, but then you're like, dude, I don't want the other 30, 40 networks and channels that they're trying to give me. Give me all the stuff that I want and I'll pay for it. Now we're in a position where you can kind of plug and pick your subscriptions and how you actually want to take in your content.
Well, yeah, so you can definitely customize everything to yourself. And I think the difference between having a video game streaming platform too and having, we've beat up Netflix enough, so why not do it some more? But like having a Netflix, right? So where there could be months at a time where you just can't find anything to watch on there, right? And you're just struggling, and we get to these points where we make videos that are like, "What? Hey, dare Netflix? Why I'm breaking up with you?" It's like I was in the heat of the moment, baby. I'm sorry, and I'm back now.
I'm back now.
Right? You put out some more stuff that I needed, and I'm back for my fix. But and
that's only gonna last so long.
The difference between like a video game platform thing is like once you find a few games on there that you like, that could run you for months at a time.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm gonna play MLB The Show for a month or more.
Yeah, we've talked about investing in those games that where you're going to be able to pass the time on.
Exactly. Yeah. So like if you can find 5 or 6 things, like I'm really stoked. Another thing that's coming to Game Pass is Age of Empires.
Yeah.
That's going to be fucking dope, right?
Another, when you talk about time consuming, that's build them up, right? You're literally being able to, I know you're a huge Tropico fan. Yeah. This just gives you that opportunity to create your own world. It's pretty awesome.
But so, yeah, needless to say, I think one of the biggest things I took out of this E3 is Game Pass is going to be a must-have for anybody who's really into video games or has seen any of these trailers. Like, assume a decent amount of it's going to be on there. Another game that's going directly to it is Back 4 Blood, which is by the makers of Left 4 Dead. And it basically just looks like a continuation of the Left 4 Dead franchise, which I think was a generally loved.
Yeah, I think a lot of people enjoyed it. Yeah, definitely. It's one of those games where, like, I love playing Call of Duty Zombies, but this was just a different thing, right? It's wave after wave. There's different levels of difficulty.
It reminds me more of. Did you go to arcades a lot when you were a little kid?
Did I? That's pretty much my babysitter.
So, like, yeah, dude, if I went to a mall, like, I would go to like around here, like the Hanover Mall or the Kingston Mall, and they have
the Dream Machine, baby.
Yeah, they'd have the little arcade down next to the food court or something, and it reminds me of like the. Kind of the side scroller like X-Men or like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games where like you had the 4 characters you could play as. You had to pick your character and
you're pretty much just going 2-dimensional up against everybody.
So like obviously the graphics and everything are evolved heavily for this kind of a game, but in the sense that like it's you and 3 of your friends can hop on this game, each play a character, and you can have the character have specific things that maybe they do better than another, or have like weapons that they can have that the other.
Everybody has their own little mission.
Yeah, like I just kind of. It's just a fun idea for a game, and it's a fun thing to play with your friends, I think.
Yeah, it certainly looks. It certainly look. I mean, the fact that they're going to have the co-op mode, it gives you that opportunity to again round everybody up, and we're going to blow some zombies to hell. Yeah. And I like the way that everything just looks. Like I love the way Left 4 Dead looks, based on what we saw in the trailer. Again, just being a continuance, everything just looks awesome. The monsters look awesome. The effects of like grenade throws. Shotgun shots, everything just looks fantastic.
It's just it's in a time of like obviously like zombie stuff is overdone, and I feel like Left 4 Dead was doing zombies before a lot of this other stuff.
Everybody else got on the train.
Yeah, for it. But nowadays, we're coming off of like Resident Evil Village coming out, and it's like scary as shit and uber real. Like, well, not the storyline, but like the graphics and everything look great. To get a game that is a little bit more just fun and arcadey, and you're not necessarily, if anything, you're overwhelmed, you're not afraid.
No, it's because it's really one direction that you can go, right? It's all pushing you into this one objective. Yeah. Where Resident Evil has always been more of a free world type thing. You do have a goal and a place that you're going, but you can kind of explore and expand a little bit more.
Find some Easter eggs.
But I think that was another one that we both looked at and was like, okay, I think we're jumping on this. Yeah. One that I know is one that we're fans of, but one that I think we haven't actually played together, Battlefield.
Yeah. We had Battlefield 5. I think like our little group had Battlefield 5, and we played like 5 or 6 times. And the thing about Battlefield, and I'll get into it with this game, it concerns me a little bit too, is I find it to be kind of objectiveless.
Yes.
And a little chaotic. And so this game, Battlefield 2042, I think is what it's going by as a title.
Yeah, I think so.
It's going to have 128 people in the games, right? 2 teams, 128 people on these massive maps that are going to have some really, really cool ideas, some things that I've been begging for Warzone to have for a while, like day and night cycles and weather cycles. Like these things are super important. And the one thing that Battlefield has always done and has always at least gotten me to try out their games is their graphics have always been a step ahead of what we're getting on Call of Duty. Like they have destructionable environments, right? Like so you can like shoot buildings and knock them over.
And it's way more like free play for that. So like if you want to drive a car into a helicopter, you can basically map it out and do that.
Yeah.
If you want to blow up a building so that the people on the roof kind of fall and die, you can do that. And that's not something that you get in a lot of different games.
There's a million different vehicles between flying, you have boats, you have quads, you have tanks. It's just a much larger scale than what you get with Call of Duty. But at the same time, it's like it's tough. And what my complaint has been is if I'm just going to get team deathmatch and it's 2 teams split up of 128 people, right? So it's 60 whatever people, 64 people, right? The tough thing is they put you in little quads. So you don't, it's not like, because you can't communicate with all those people. So when I mean it's like objectiveless, it's like there's no direction for that to go. There's no coordination that's capable. Whereas like the thing that it's great about Warzone is even though you're playing on 150 people, like this massive game, it's you're communicating with your team. And if you have good teammates or teamwork,
you can formulate a strategy, plan of attack.
There can be a little bit more to it, which like it just doesn't feel like you get that with Battlefield as much. And I think that's when we were playing it. It's like it's a lot of fun, but it's so massive and you kind of get lost in it.
And that's what I was going to say. It almost seems like the game is really made for like the visuals. Like we want you to see how crazy it is that you can blow this up and what'll happen if, you take a tank and you run over a car. Like they want to give you that feel, but it's not really focused on the overall like point of the game, right? Like if we were to break it down, like we don't play Warzone just to get a feel for it. The idea is that you want to get wins, right? Sure, you want to figure out how to get that number one and continue to get wins. Like it's not one of those things where you play it once and you stop.
And you can play different ways. Like you can be really aggressive and be really good at the game, or if you can
end up in different parts of the map.
You can play it strategically where you can avoid conflict if you really want to until you absolutely have to. There's just different ways to play.
It seems like this game is designed to just throw chaos at you and figure out how you're gonna create a plan by yourself, essentially.
Yeah, like so. Speaking of chaos, there's literally a tornado on the map. Like
while there's helicopters,
there's going to be a
time. Everything in.
Yeah, you're going to be able to wingsuit into a tornado and like ride it. It's kind of crazy. The other so the concern outside of that, I think from general public in response to this has been a little disappointment that in the world of battle royales and in a company that's made big maps for so long, I think everybody kind of just felt like there was a way to offer that from them and they should consider it. But the issue was they did it on Battlefield 5 and nobody played it. So
and that's where we didn't play it, right? Because it didn't really have...
It wasn't available at launch. And I think that's what hurt them too. So by the time everybody's into, at the time, Blackout and then into Warzone. It's like those are both free and easily accessible to everybody. The other concern is no campaign.
Yep.
So it's going to be strictly online multiplayer. So that's where I'm like, if you don't have good game modes, it's going to make it really difficult to get me to keep coming back because I just don't want to play team deathmatch every single time I'm on there.
Yeah, if I'm jumping into a game where every time I'm playing it's multiplayer, it's too stressful an environment. I need to kind of build up to it.
Yeah.
Give me some story mode so that I can build up to it.
You want to learn the guns, learn the environments, like be able to recognize stuff from the solo
I'm a sucker
campaign.
for the movies too. Like they just make things look good. And I think that's what Call of Duty's always kind of been known for is their storylines cinematically look great.
Yeah.
Right. Probably something that we've been looking for with Battlefield but haven't really gotten.
So was there any other ones?
The last one that we were looking at was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Shit, yeah.
I didn't want us to miss that one.
Okay.
So Guardians of the Galaxy launched. It is a kind of a new take on our Peter Quills, our Gamoras, our Draxes. We're not really getting the Chris Pratt looking character.
No.
But we're still getting that storyline. They were playing it with the 80s and 90s theme music. It definitely feels like a game that will be fun to just pick up and play. What were your initial thoughts?
The feel of the game was great, right? I thought it felt like Guardians. You had the really good soundtrack in the background. There were some funny jokes along the way. The interplay between the characters, although not the ones from the movie, were still likable, I thought.
Still seems like they brought those personalities.
I just think from a personal taste perspective, not everybody's going to share this opinion. It just doesn't look like the kind of gameplay of a game that I enjoy. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that Avengers game that came out.
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
Which is just a little bit too much of a beat 'em up. Not necessarily my style.
A button masher. Would you say that?
Yeah, I don't think maybe because we're novices we play it like that, but I'm sure there's people who know how to link.
So when I think of Batman or Spider-Man, right? Mm-hmm. When you think of the Arkham Asylum games of the 2 years ago, Spider-Man,
they're just hack and slash
the mission is different, but the objective is still the same. I got to beat the shit out of these guys in order to get to where I need to get to, and then beat the shit out of that guy.
And it's just a lot of hit X, A, B, whatever.
I think for me, I like the idea of getting those characters together. With some of the idea of being able to use special techniques with Rocket, being able to kind of play as Groot in a sense. It's cool. It's fun. Would I see myself paying $60 for it?
So I was going to say, I think what the anticipation for this game is really going to come down to is how much do you actually love the characters themselves and how anticipated you are to get to play in that world is going to dictate whether you get this game. I don't think the gameplay itself is going to be enough to sell anybody on it. So to your point, it's like if you really love Guardians, you're really you might want to really play as those characters and have some of the small I'm sure Raccoon. Ooh.
Rocket Raccoon.
Whoa.
I'll help you, buddy.
Whoa.
We got you. Dude, I'm the first one doing word farts up here, so don't worry about it.
Little Rocket over there, dude, I'm sure his moveset's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, they to your point, I think the fact that they're able to add some comedic relief, to me, I could see this being a similar play to the Star Wars game that we brought up earlier, right? Where I'll get a couple levels in, I'll play with each character. Maybe I'll figure out some cool tricks, but more so for the scenery, I want to see how the game looks. But again, man, that if it's at a $60 price tag, I think I'm waiting for it to hit that sale on the PlayStation Store.
Well, it's the same thing where I'm at with Avengers, that game right now. I'm still kind of interested in trying it, even though it's not gotten any real positive reviews, right? Yeah. But it's never been at a price cheap enough to get me to go out and buy it.
Yeah, makes sense. And you would kind of hope that the game has been out for about a year now.
More, I think.
Right? You would just hope that, throw me a bone here. If you really want to sell it, give it to me for $10.
Well, it should have been free game with gold or something, or the PlayStation thing.
I'll tell you what, man. Sony's been real stingy with their PlayStation Store.
I think
you're on it a lot more than I am, so you could probably
give out some decent games. However, I don't always play them. Yeah.
Okay.
They're good games. I just don't go back and play them all the time.
Well, I guess there's just not good enough games to make me want to play.
I'll let you know when there's good stuff up there.
You always do. I never have to worry about that.
I haven't been.
Well,
I've let you down.
Being a father kind of takes time.
I am your dad.
All right, Lenny, at this point, it's only fair that we...
Fitting.
Sure, it's only fitting. Well. What? Stop doing that. It's only fitting and it's only fair that we give a little bit of time to a movie that you and I both had the opportunity to watch this week.
We had watched a trailer a few weeks back as well.
Yeah, if anybody pays attention to this show, we're kind of a fan of movie trailers. And this was one that we had a pretty hot take on. And for the fact that it was DJ Marky Mark, I think we were willing to put our eggs in this basket.
Quite the setup.
Would you agree?
Quite the setup. I don't have any eggs to put in baskets. But I was looking forward to it because I'm a Mark Wahlberg fan, right? I was looking forward to it even more. Can I ask you a question? Did we know that Dylan O'Brien was in this?
We didn't.
Okay.
And I'm so glad that you messed it up because I wanted to bring it up afterwards. We would have 100% watched this movie had we known that Dylan O'Brien was in it.
Dude, I was watching it and I was like, so I had seen a couple weeks ago a scene of him fighting with swords on a crane. I'd seen a quick little clip of it.
And you didn't know that it had to do with that movie?
I thought it was from that other trailer that we had watched with him a few weeks back.
Oh, yes, okay.
Right? And I was just like, oh, it must be in that movie I watched a trailer for. And then when I'm watching this and I see him, I'm like, wait. Because we just talk about this shit every week at this point. It blurs together at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Are my trailers starting to blur?
Did we talk about Dylan O'Brien being in the Mark Wahlberg movie? Like, no.
No, we definitely did not.
So yeah, the very first thing I see isn't Mark Wahlberg. Like that was where it was even more. They like do this little like lead up, like talking.
Bro, it took everything out of me not to shoot you a text and be like, bro, Dylan O'Brien's in this fucking movie.
Yeah, like it's so weird, and it's not like, oh, okay. So
let's get into
we just
it.
hit like
3, 2, 1. I know, spoiler. I know.
I will get my hand right, dude.
It didn't feel right, so I was like 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I have a lot of dexterity. But yeah, spoilers. Like, sorry if that spoils it for anybody else to just start there. But yeah, so he's not in it like a ton.
It's
but
the opening 5 minutes.
He's an important part of the movie, I suppose.
Did it register to you when he said look inside? Mm-hmm. Did it register to what we had seen in the trailer? Because I blanked on that immediately.
No, so I knew the look inside part, like, because we had actually talked about that a little bit, right? The thing that should have been far more obvious than it was is when he seals up
the wound. Yeah. To me, I just thought he got stabbed, got in a knife fight.
Yeah, well, exactly. They do a good job.
I mean, when you're sitting there with what looks like $100,000 briefcase,
I just assume
that look inside means I'm about to drop this briefcase. You should probably take a look inside.
Yeah, like go check it out.
I had no idea that you were stuffing stuff in your body.
He's like a Mexican drug mule.
Well, that's exactly what it was. Like, I'm not trying to go through the x-ray because I got this stuff on me. Let me go to the bathroom so I can take a shit real quick.
So, did you understand the story?
It was tough to keep a grasp on, man. So, I've watched it 1.5 times. I feel like I do this all the time. What I will say is that the storyline felt like something that's done before.
I'll tell you what it is.
I'm sure you can.
It reminded me of Assassin's Creed.
Okay, yeah, exactly. We have to trigger your memory so that you can tell us where to find what we're looking for. Mm-hmm. There's 2 sides on this, and at the end of the day, you feel like you know whose side you want to be on, and it's almost blatantly obvious that we're eventually going to get to a point where we've seen the story before.
So I guess I understand, like, I do and I don't. So Mark Wahlberg's like team, right? The whatever side he's
on. The Believers.
They are the Infinites, right?
Yeah.
So they're protecting the egg because the egg can end the world. Mm-hmm. Do you want to stop for a second and talk about how I hate that an egg is what they're like?
I thought
that's silly.
I had to Google it and see I had to see if this was a Scientology movie.
Who worked out that part of the storyline?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because an egg is really the only thing small enough to stick in that little wound that he had.
Yeah. Oh, fuck. That's part, dude. They had to sit there and be like, well, it's not believable if we haven't put a dagger like into the inside of his body. Because like, isn't it always like a staff or a dagger? Well, dude,
so I mean, he's carrying this sword around the entire time, and it almost feels
we're getting to the sword. Dude.
He's got a I won't even. Sorry, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place.
Yeah, we'll get to the sword.
Okay, so the egg doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right. It then makes sense at the very last minute, but you're like, oh, this didn't have to be an egg. This could have been a marble. This could have been an orb. It could have been anything. Dude, a gem.
An orb and a gem make way more sense.
Yeah. Remember in what is it? Exit Wounds, where they have to have these black diamonds that they're basically turning into nuclear weapons. That would have made more sense.
Yep. Okay. I know.
I'm reaching for straws here. I know.
It's just that kind of an egg is the least intimidating thing that you could tell me was going to end civilization.
Yeah, was this some weird way to just tell us that like men can carry eggs?
It's the worst thing since when Transformers had that little box.
Oh, yeah, I guess you could say that.
The All-Sphere.
The All-Spark. Yeah, I guess you could say that. It's very similar in the sense, but what it really comes down to is when the storyline, you know that it's been done before, but I almost feel like they do the job of trying to confuse you for almost no reason. Like, you have the ability to stop people from reincarnating if you shoot them with this gun that we've never seen anybody get shot with. Did you see anybody get shot with it? Knock, knock. Yeah, no, I get that. That's the only time in this entire 1 hour and 40 minutes that you actually see the gun used.
No. So when they're driving through the streets, she's using it to blow up cars and shit.
Right.
That was pretty sick.
Okay, yes.
Because she does that one that bounces along the ground and then magnetizes underneath the car.
There's some cool visuals in the movie.
In that part at the beginning, you know the part I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, when she breaks him out.
So he's in this massive truck.
Yeah.
The massive truck is driving through the inside of a building, has no problem. It's driving through all this traffic. That car blows up, and it hits a normal sedan.
And it stops immediately.
It flips the whole truck upside down, man. It didn't just stop.
No. I know. That's what I'm saying. It stopped it in its track to the point where it had to flip. Like,
it's insane. Like, not a good truck.
You know what happened when I was watching this movie, Len? And this is something you always tell me. You're like, dude, how much are you going to grasp on reality? Like, you can't be stuck in the fact that this isn't real. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a movie. At the end of the day, if The Rock is holding together ATVs and helicopters by a chain, Mark Wahlberg should be able to ride a motorcycle onto the wing of an airplane.
Let's get something very clear here. Is I have a lot to shit on about this movie, but I honestly didn't come away from it being like, I said, I think I need to watch it again.
Yeah, you need to watch it again.
So I didn't come away from it being like, well, that was just dog shit. Like, that was bad. It was just like, I was like, all right, had some interesting ideas. Like I said, Assassin's Creed ranked to me in the middle because it just kind of reminded me of being able to take a person and like their consciousness and drop them into different time periods, and where you kind of get these flashbacks. So Dylan O'Brien is Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg is Dylan O'Brien.
Yeah, and that was kind of a weird connection at some point in there too.
Because you almost felt like they were, when we first watched the trailer, that they were somehow going to make like Mark Wahlberg appear in all these different visions. Like we thought it was the same guy. Turns out it's just reincarnation.
Dude,
people jumping from body to body.
I thought when he was fighting in like the Pilgrims versus the Native Americans or whatever, that I was like, are they gonna go here? Because
are they gonna put Mark Wahlberg in red face? They better not.
Like, I thought they were gonna have. I swear to God, for a second, I thought he was in that scene. I was like, this is.
You thought he was about to go full feathers.
This man didn't give a fuck. Like, and he can't really play with the race game because, like, if anybody looks too close into his history, like,
you got to be
pretty
careful.
Fucking ugly.
You got to be careful. But thankfully, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Right. We now understand that they are reincarnated into different people, and it almost seemed like somewhere along the line he was reincarnated into a dude who took his best friend's girl. Because did you notice the odd sexual tension between these two the whole time? And they're just come to find out that she was with the other guy.
Which other guy?
The guy who, in the Dylan O'Brien age, she dies with him in the car.
Oh, and he doesn't get reincarnated?
Either he gets reincarnated and dies. They never actually show who he is.
Because there was definitely some tension.
There's definitely some tension, but they never actually pull the trigger on it.
I think I thought about it for a second, but this is where like I was kind of. The problem is with this movie is I felt like I was just trying so hard to figure out. Like, I didn't understand the purpose of is it Jeffrey Wright? Is that the main bad guy's name?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
I was trying to figure out what their purpose was. Like
he was tired of it, dude. He's tired of living this life, bro.
And he made me feel kind of bad because he's like, do you know what it feels like to be reborn and like your brain has to rebuild every single time? That probably sucks.
It was tough because he was like, and then you have to remember it and then live all this shit over and over and over
Matt,
again.
As a person who like spent most of yesterday trying to rebuild their brain, I can tell you I couldn't do that all the time, and I'd be just as mad as he is.
Lenny was knocking on heaven's door yesterday. Yeah, dude. It was a rough time for you.
It was a bad day, dude. Don't drink, kids.
Yeah, don't drink and drive, or don't drink and work.
I mean, that's all of them.
All of the above.
I didn't drink and work, by the way. Just to
you know what I'm saying.
Quell that narrative. I don't need that on my record.
Don't drink the night before and then go to work is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
You're no way in shape or form an alcoholic. I'm not saying that. I feel like I needed to stop that. But let's jump into what you hated about this movie, Len.
Who's to say I have to hate things, dude? Why do you just have to put on?
Because there was one thing specifically that I hated. But I want to get your take before I start shitting on
Nope, I got nothing. I'm not a hater.
Really? Okay.
No haters in the building, not I.
Being an Infinite, in no way, shape, or form did they clarify that you had mystical superpowers. Dylan O'Brien does it in the beginning, and then Mark Wahlberg does it when he rides a motorcycle onto the wing of a plane. And he basically looks like he's able to stop time, and he's able to just not be affected by the time around him.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what that meant, and I felt like that's where I said I had to watch it again, is because I thought I must have missed something.
Nope.
That got explained along the way. Are you sure though? Because I feel like there's got to be something to that they set up in the story. Like, is it because they've lived through all of it? They can like slow down time because they've lived so much.
Yeah, but this guy didn't even remember anything. You know what I'm like? At some point, yes, he regains his memory, but it's like you're able to just snap right into it. I guess that's my issue with it. is we didn't see it the entire movie. Even when he does it on the plane, bad guy is like, impossible. Like, he's never seen it before. So it's just weird to me that somebody who has very little or no memory of who he is and what's happened, that he's able to just tap into his power. But it's like a
feel. Yeah, it's just a feel.
You're telling me you can feel it?
This is a sense.
You can feel it in his nuggets?
You're probably right. Not saying you're not. I'm going to hold off until I watch it again to see if I did, in fact, just miss something.
Okay. Well,
if it's not there, it's not there.
If it's not there, it's not there. The moment of truth is here, though, Len. It's time to see where it lands on the taste test.
We are going to do that. Where the sword, okay? Why was the sword I get that they were like he was a blacksmith in one of his lives was the reason he would like made the sword. Why is that his like weapon of choice? It's just such a weird, like there's these guns that shoot like explosive rounds. They shoot like metal bullets. So I think all bullets might be metal. He didn't give a shit,
dude. He was able to slap all those things around with that sword. Like it didn't matter.
Oh, dude, when he gets his shit off in the apartment at the beginning when the drug deal gone wrong,
dude. And you could kind of just tell, like, he made a sword for a drug dealer. This is going to go bad almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, and that guy's kind of a dick. Just going to chop that chick's arm off.
Well, dude, she was looking around.
Yeah.
Like, dude, have a little bit of respect.
Yeah, eyes on me.
You're looking like you want to bang this dude. I'm standing right over here with a sword. Can't be doing that. I don't know, man. They really focus a lot on the sword, and you're just supposed to understand that, like, this is his shit. He's, what's the famous Musashi? He's the famous samurai of legend. He can make swords, he can kill people with them, and it seems to be a common theme because at the end of this movie, he throws a sword to a kid immediately snaps back into place and is like, what took you so long?
Well, I think the idea there is that he's already been waiting for him prior to receiving the sword.
Okay.
Is what it seemed like. And I thought that little setup then, because the immediate thing I thought at the very end was, I was like, well, this is kind of perfect for them because they can do sequels or reboots of this whenever they want.
Actor.
But I thought it was weird the way they set it up with, like, I thought if you were going to give me an actor at the end, like post-credit style, which this was pre-credits, obviously.
Pretty much,
but
yeah.
Like, in that type of way, I thought it would be a more famous actor to get you excited for another movie. But they clearly maybe didn't plan on making another one, and it's only if this...
Also, you could look at it like maybe they're catching him in a younger phase, and maybe they're able to cast somebody a little bit older.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? You never know where they're going to go with that.
So, taste test. Yeah, we want to do that. Hey, but I have a question. Are we allowed to go back and change previous scores?
No.
I think by logic, I kind of have to, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Just because, like, to get into my overall, like, ranking of this movie, like I said, I'm going to watch it again. I didn't hate anything particularly about it. It's definitely kind of dumb, but I like a lot of dumb movies.
Yeah, we've stated that.
But with that being said, I can't give this, cake or a porterhouse.
No.
I think I've got to go very middle of the road on this.
Yeah, this is chips for me.
And say chips. And the reason I say I have to go back and change something is that I think it's unfair of me critically. And I think part of this is just acknowledging I can be wrong.
Which is a very good thing.
And also just saying that with the scoring system, we've got to kind of work out some kinks. And there's still aspects of it that I think aren't great and that we've got to work on.
Okay.
And it's making a little bit more clear-cut distinction between the levels here. And with that being said, I want to bump Cruella up, if I could.
Thank God.
To cake.
Good.
Because it doesn't seem fair.
To lump that in with chips.
To give... No, not give it chips. But if I'm going to give infinite chips, I don't think that Cruella should be in the same... So that's where it's like tough because it goes back to what we've said along the whole time. I think scoring systems are really hard. Yeah. Because 10-point must is sometimes the best way to do it, but it's a little too straightforward and to the point.
Yeah, and you never really end up using most of those numbers.
You got to use decimals, dude. That's what I'm doing with 10-point must. You got to go 7.9s, like 7.4s. Or you can do up to 100 and do like 74 out of 100, like 74%. Or you can go like 50-50. It's like it's either good or it's bad. Yeah. But like I said, I digress. I was just saying, I think it's something we need to go back and kind of look at because it's probably not fair to rank them the same. But in terms of Infinite, where it lands on the taste test, it's chips for me. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think I can respect the fact that you were able to go back and put Cruella above chips because I did think that it was above chips. But I think the foundation that we've set with the scoring system, it does give people at least an understanding of where we lie as far as how we would recommend movies. Because if we just don't want you to watch it,
That shit's gonna be bologna or meatloaf.
And I with this having a chips rating, like I definitely think, I mean, if you have Paramount Plus, I'm not telling you to go out there and subscribe to Paramount Plus to get this. If there's something else that you've been thinking about watching on Paramount Plus, if there's some shows that you thought you might want to go back and rewatch from Nickelodeon or MTV or anything like that, this is a good addition to kind of give you some value on your investment.
Also, Paramount Plus owns a few different networks, and they've pretty much got a monopoly on all the Comedy Central content. So if you're ever wanting to go back on just about all the classics that come from there, stand-up special, South Park, what's the other one? The Daily Show. The Daily Show. They've got all that stuff.
But yeah, so let's wrap it up quick here, Matt. We have gone far longer than we've probably ever gone before.
Yeah.
Let's hit them with a quick what to watch going forward. What are you bringing to the table this week? What's your recommendation?
Well, this one for me is going to be a bit of a binge, Len, and it's kind of an attribution to my shirt. I'm rocking a nice My Hero Academia Ingenium shirt.
Okay.
And they are officially, I believe, 10 episodes in to their English dubs for season 5. I'm going to be binging the hell out of that, my man.
How long of episodes are they?
So they go for, if I'm not mistaken, about 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
So 10 episodes at 30 minutes, not too long. You can bang that out in a night.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to get it in. And I'm really looking forward to it because this is a season that has been very much anticipated. And it's setting up something pretty big.
Sick, dude. I can't say that I'll be watching just because I've never seen any of it.
I know.
But thank you for always holding up our anime side of the agreement here.
I try to shout out all my people who love the anime.
It's really important.
Yeah. What do you got going on?
So for what to watch for me, it's not actually me that I'm going to be watching. I came with homework for you, as I like to do.
Damn it. Let me bring out my notes.
A show I feel like I've told you to watch before, but we got a trailer for season 2 of a show that I really enjoy and I've actually rewatched recently.
Okay.
It's called Outer Banks.
Okay, I've heard you talk about this.
So season 2 just got their trailer this past week, and I've been anticipating, waiting, on it with bated breath for season 2.
So okay,
to come.
All right.
And the trailer is only about a minute long, but it looked pretty friggin' good.
Okay.
So
I think when I remember you talking to me about Outer Banks, I think I told you they only have one season, and I wasn't sure if I was willing to put my life on that.
Yeah, it's 10 episodes.
Okay.
And they're each about an hour.
And they got their season 2 trailer, so I think I got to do my homework, man.
So that's where I was saying that I think season 2 starts in mid-July.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing it up to you now to say, hey, dude, we're gonna need some stuff to talk about weekly on here, and if you haven't watched it at home, essentially quick description of it.
Yeah, what's the elevator pitch?
It's like if you had Indiana Jones or Uncharted, that type of treasure hunt, National Treasure even.
Okay.
Kind of a treasure map, follow the clues, try and get it. Goonies maybe is another example.
Okay, you're going a little, you're reaching now, but yeah, I got you. Jesus.
Goonies isn't probably that far off actually on this one.
Okay.
But take that and mix it in with the universe of the OC or any of those types of.
Okay.
I was talking to you about Dawson's Creek.
Yeah,
it's not Dawson's Creek.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
I would say more like that type of show, like the OC or something like that. So a little bit more of that teen drama to it.
Okay.
But with some really good it's gonna be, there's some really dumb shit, but it's one of those just like Infinite where it's kind of
catchy.
Funny.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of campy and funny at the same time. All but the cast is all pretty unknown until they did this show, and since they've done the show, they blew up huge. So,
well, listen, man, you've never let me down on shows that I should be interested in.
Yeah, put that on my grade.
So I am going to put this on the docket, and I will certainly come in here next week fully caught up. I can assure you.
No, you don't have to do it all in a week, dude.
No, dude.
I'm telling you, you've got time. I'm just we've got a month. Fit it in there somewhere. You're still watching the challenge, so it's I'm not going to ask you to completely. But although you probably need a palate cleanser. I'm at that point where I need a palate cleanser.
Yeah,
dude. That's a perfect palate cleanser because it's one season.
What are you doing to me right now, dude? Listen.
Also, Madeline Klein. Just remember the name.
All right, buddy. Take it easy on your searches there, okay?
Yeah.
I see what you're doing in your search history.
Just let us know.
But not only are we going to be catching that stuff this week, Loki episode 2 is going to be dropping tomorrow for us. Yesterday for you. And then we've also got episode 10 of The Bad Batch. Alias. But where can they find us, Len?
We're at Good Taste Live on Twitter.
And then we're at For Those With Good Taste on Instagram.
Yep. You can also find us, obviously, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcast, Deezer, D's Nuts. You can find us everywhere.
All the good stuff. But
yes, sir.
You really wouldn't know where to find us unless you hit the subscribe button.
Yep. Drop a like on the video.
Drop us a like you drop a deuce. And then just hit us in the comments and let us know what you think of this week's content.
Yeah, if there's any games you really liked, how you feel about the Bad Batch, did you watch Loki, Infinite, any of the numerous topics?
And are we
hit on
losing
this?
our shit on Halo?
Don't forget about the whale at the beginning of this either, dude.
He's
the
to
real
that video.
MVP.
Yeah, shout out to Pinocchio and Captain Ahab.
Till next week. Peace.
Later, guys.
Love you.
For those with good taste.